Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Etc. the podcast. My name is Joe,
And I'm Pat.
and today we're going to be talking about a lot of things, starting with apparently this bullshit that you can teleport things to space.
It's not quite bullshit. It's just not what you think. Because
Okay.
everyone immediately thinks, oh my gosh, we have a wormhole that we can throw things into, but it's not that.
It's a
It's very
photon.
simple.
It's like
Yes.
it's a single photon, right?
Yes, it is a single, well, how they do it is a single photon. Well, two photons technically. So it's two photons from the same instant reaction, whatever you want to call that, from the same energy. So they use quantum entanglement and the idea that both of these photons will have the same information.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing air quotes. Sorry for you audio listeners. So I'll just go air quote from now on.
There you go.
To transfer this information. But this information is like 1 bit. And to be able to successfully teleport something, I feel as though it requires more than just you doing stretched quantum entanglement, because research science have been doing that on Earth for, the past decade or so.
Yeah, but it's still a significant. From here to space, even low Earth orbit is what, 300 miles? Like how far is the farthest test? Yeah,
I
man.
don't think it is.
Yeah, it is, man. Look it up.
Okay.
That's where some of the lowest satellites sort of hang in the air.
Okay. Where's the International Space Station?
I don't know. Let me look that up. I still think it's significant.
I think it's a significant step because it's the first time someone has done something like this to out of Earth's immediate atmosphere. And it shows the possibility for this sort of application on, like, let's say, lunar colonies or Mars colonies or things like that.
Right, where your response time is 8 minutes one way, so 16 minutes just for you to speak again. Actually, I want to get back to that in a second, just to prove my point. The ISS hangs at 249 miles above the Earth. Mir is 223. Sputnik 1 is 359, and Skylab is 146. So, like, low Earth orbit is somewhere in that distance.
It's like 150 miles from the range that we heard.
So this is a wild tangent. So we're, returning to form.
Of course.
But I scroll through the Instagram Explorer feature pretty frequently because, I don't follow that many people. I run out of content.
And you're on Internet Explorer?
No. It's an Explore feature of Instagram.
Okay, there we go. I was also like, you're using an archaic system?
Me? No, I would never use an archaic system. No, so I'll scroll through like whatever is new, right? And pretty frequently, it'll recommend to me these flat Earth Instagrammers who are trying to convince people that yes, the Earth is flat. Yes, gravity is a false theory, and yada 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 yada. And so one of the things that I came across, and it's so easy to like just like they'll say one thing and you'll be like, I'm just not sure how that's how it works. And you'll be like, no, like look it up, and you Google it and be like, yeah, I was right. I Googled it.
I can do a simple Google search and prove your entire point wrong.
Google search. To which their rebuttal will be, well, who's paying off Google?
Clearly, big sphere.
Big sphere. Anyway, so like one of the things that they were like complaining about is that it takes, like, if you watch the videos of the moon landing and you have this talk between President Nixon and Buzz Aldrin, right? There's no pause, but there's still like a 3-minute pause in between, or like a 30-second pause in between here and the ISS, in between breaths.
And I think it's 4 minutes.
Yes. It's, well, to the moon and back, yeah, it's 4 minutes. But can you imagine sitting through 4 minutes of silence while you're watching a YouTube video?
Yeah.
It's edited out because it's annoying, right?
Yes.
You could leave it in once and be like, yeah, it exists. There's a delay. But why would you prove that point if you've already, like, have the understanding you
You're
already
already
landed
losing
on
so
the
many
moon.
viewers off of ads and things like that. Why would you add 4 minutes of dead space?
Exactly.
Literally dead space.
Mhm. Actually, that might be pretty efficient from an ad revenue standpoint. You could just put an ad in between every 2 minute mark, right? So you get like a minute of silence and then a statement, and then another minute of silence, then ad, then another minute of silence, and then a statement.
I would say my favorite moon conspiracy theory, which kind of tails in with the flat earther argument, is that the moon landing was fake, but they got Stanley Kubrick to direct it. And because of his obsessive compulsiveness with directing, they actually had to fly to the moon to get the right shot.
I like that one too. I think it's of the conspiracy theories the most probable. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
And arguably the man was insane in so many ways.
Kubrick?
Yes.
What do you mean was insane? He's still alive, isn't he?
I think he died.
Did he?
Man,
This is dangerous. I have
we need to ask Big. Yeah, you have a mechanical keyboard.
I have a mechanical keyboard with a no you can hear. And not only that, but oh yeah, he died. Oh my god, he died
Yeah.
17 years ago. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Ugh, I'm
Someone
dumb.
needs to get their facts right.
Ugh.
Get you and your fake news out of here, Joe.
Hey man, I'm just spitting the truth here. Earth is flat. If
Earth
it
is
wasn't,
flat.
all the water would fall to the southern hemisphere. Duh.
It hurts when people say that. It hurts. It physically hurts me because I have to imagine how stupid their reasoning is, and then I go, "Oh, I can see how you'd say that. Oh, that hurts."
Mm-hmm. Literally is that if under the theory of gravity everything falls to the lowest point possible, the lowest point would be the southern hemisphere.
I did hear an interesting fact about our flat Earth that it is overall the entire Earth is flatter than a pancake.
You know what? I'll believe that
Mm-hmm.
because like you expand a pancake times several million. I'm sure you eventually get a sphere
No, no, it's
or
like the idea
geode.
of the smoothness of the top of a pancake. That when we touch it, it's so small that the small divots and things like that our fingers can't even feel and we can't really see.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to expand out to the Earth, it looks very smooth from a distance.
Oh, oh, like the
And
blue marble.
yes, so if you had a scale hand that could hold the Earth, ignoring the fact that the force between your hand and the Earth would cause it to, break apart and die, it would feel smoother than a pancake.
Can you imagine what like ethereal horror that must be to see just like this giant gross finger coming in out from out of the sky? Like, is this how I die? Really?
Well, Rick and Morty have the heads that come in, the giant heads in our atmosphere.
I still feel like that's more dignified. At least you can like confront your death.
You
and
can
be like,
personify
hey.
the face.
Exactly.
And
But just a finger just pressing down and squishing you, like, oh god.
I'm just imagining all the super conservative people screaming, "It's the invisible hand that we always spoke of."
Or perhaps it's the hand of God, and this is the rapture. This is the true rapture.
That's
Everybody who's in between the fingers, no, those are the true Christians.
His ability to pluck people is spot on. God's been working out for the past few millennia on his chopstick skills.
I could see that. I could see like, well, we also have like no scale of what a god would be, right?
Well,
It's like how big is God? Infinitely big and infinitely small, right?
Well, yeah, but there are other religions that have more defined, I guess, dimensions of God.
True, and dimensions of gods, like
the
Norse.
Dimensions in which the gods exist.
No. I don't mean like separate dimensions. Like, oh, I'm gonna go to a different dimension. I mean like dimensions, as in there are plural dimensions of plural gods.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Now,
like
in different dimensions, like our concept of time and space is different. And I was going to go down that route. I was like, "Ooh, that's an interesting point, Joe. Maybe on Olympus, which would be the alternate dimension of the Greeks,
There you go.
scales and things like that are just different."
That makes sense. I mean, if you go with like the Nordic pantheon, there's like 9 worlds, right? Each one
Yeah.
with their own laws and themes. So perhaps, yeah, perhaps, here is the only Midgard is the only place with a defined sense of this is how big a thing is.
I'll go even culturally on that. When individuals travel to other parts of the world,
Mhm.
the dimensions are shifted. I've seen many posts of people going to Japan for tourism who are tall, like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and
Mhm.
how they have difficulty using anything in Japan because everything's built for people who are much smaller.
What? Yeah, the average height of Japan is like 5'5", right?
I don't know. I don't even know that much to like BS a fact.
No, but you're not wrong. And um,
As someone who is tall, I suffer from this.
average height of a Japanese man is 171 centimeters tall. I don't know what that is in imperial. Oh, 5'7.5".
5'7". Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
Respectable. Okay. I know. I feel so bad because metric is the right answer.
Yeah, obviously it is.
And people will get upset because they'll say, feet, miles, things like that they're not that complex. And yeah, I get it. Like,
Uh,
you can, was it 5,280 feet to a mile?
I don't know.
No, well,
I've never not Googled the conversion from one to another.
Yeah,
like I know a
5,280
mile is long
feet to a
and
mile.
a foot is not very tall.
What?
So I know 1 mile is long and 1 foot is not very tall.
Yes. So like that. So
yeah, I know a
my
fathom
point
is.
You can remember. People will say, "Well, you just remember that a foot, how many feet are in a mile, and that's all you need to do." It's the same thing as if you remembered how many meters are in a kilometer, right?
Yeah, but that one's easy. It's 1,000. The answer
Yes, I
is
know.
always 1,000.
The answer is always 1,000. But what gets tricky is empirical volume. That bothers me.
What, like 16 ounces to? Oh wait, that's 16 fluid ounces
to a pound. I think is 16 ounces to a pound. Is it 16 fluid ounces?
16.
See, we don't even know.
We've been using the system all our lives. We still don't know. There's no way to know.
Yeah, and how many pints are in a quart, and how many cups are in a pint?
4 pints in a quart.
No, 2
2
pints,
pints
in a quart. 2 pints in a
2
quart.
quarts in a gallon. 4 pints in a
quart. It's quarter. 4 quarters to a gallon.
Yes. Wait. Yes.
So 4 quarts to a gallon, and then 2 pints to a quart. And I don't know how many cups to a pint. I want to say 2.
16 cups?
16 cups to what?
I don't know.
A pint? 16 pints?
I'm getting so confused.
Dude, you've had a pint of beer.
Of course. I know that's a size of beer.
Ooh.
But what is ooh?
I'm yep, it's 2 cups to a pint. Saying it's so weird. It goes from 2s and to 4s to 16s, and I appreciate the scale of 2, or no, the log of 2.
Scale of 2.
Yeah. But I can't get behind it.
Me neither. Well, why would you? Why would you want to be behind it?
Because we're America.
Yeah, and it's like us and Burma who still use imperial.
And
the rest of the world is like,
and Liberia.
Liberia. Liberia. Oh.
So your cameras gauge a little bit. There you go. Now that when you're in the center of the frame, when you slouch a little bit, and when you slouched into the not in the camera, into the microphone, you almost looked like Wilson from Home Improvement.
Oh, with the cut across with the fence. Yeah.
Yep.
God, what happened to Home Improvement, man? What happened to Tim Allen saying, "Ooh"?
Well, then Tim Allen moved to do movies, did a few
Good.
Santa ones, and then now it was a conservative sitcom. Just
I
got
wouldn't know.
canceled. I don't know. But it had a home improvement vibe. It's like he was the owner of or like the number two at their equivalent of Bass Pro Shops in the sitcom universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was canceled. Well, I heard this from people who might put a spit on it, but I was canceled for its spin, if you will, within the show.
I mean, Hollywood is very liberal, just as a whole.
What?
No.
California?
No way.
Liberal? So, yeah, I despise.
The metric system. We got to the metric system.
But how do we get to the metric system?
I don't know. I know we started off talking about teleporting photons.
Yeah, and how it's already been done on Earth. It's just now
it's in space.
Yes.
I mean, this is like the first step towards like an immediacy, not immediacy, like an immediate form of communication with anything in deep space, right? So there's not going to be a manned mission to anywhere past the moon or Mars, I guess, without there being like some form of being able to communicate with them in a timely manner. We can't wait however many hours it takes to get a signal back from Saturn.
Yeah, but you still gotta wait for the photons to get to the locations of the sensors, right? I don't think this is instant.
Isn't it? Isn't that the whole point of entangling two photons, is to transfer information based on spin instantaneously?
I think so, but you have to understand the photons have to come from the same phenomena, the same thing that creates them. So I can have, let's say we're in a room and we're doing quantum entangled communication, right?
Okay.
So we're in a room that's 20 feet wide and we're on either side. Okay. But the phenomena that creates the photons is in my hands. I have my electron, not my electron, my photon, and your photon's on your way to you. I can look at mine and I immediately know what the spin of yours will be because of this quantum entanglement phenomenon. Mm-hmm. But the photon still has to cross the room to get to you.
So you're saying this is no better than just radio?
Fast radio.
Well, that's the whole point of radio communication, is that radio waves travel at the speed of light or damn near.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it is.
That's the whole point of radio telescopes.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you still have to. Another photon. Oh well, it says. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think.
You were not impressed.
Yes, I'm not impressed because the phenomena has been done on Earth previous times. I want to say that the photons come from the same energy source or the same thing that causes them, but I'm not a quantum physicist. Okay,
but you are a physicist.
Yeah.
He groans. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the reason that this particular experiment was so significant is that it was a distance of 300 miles, which is way more than the last experiment.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct.
What was I just thinking about? Have we ever entangled anything other than a photon? I hear a lot about quantum entanglement, and the only thing I hear about quantum entanglement is the entanglement of photons. That's it.
Yes.
I know they're probably pretty easy to entangle, but why not something a little bit more like static, like a neutron?
Well, I guess the answer to your question is is there a reaction that can create two neutrons in the same? Yes, there is, but like I think their photons are just so easy to create.
Yes.
They
Mhm.
propagate in the field so easily.
What kind of reaction are we talking about? Like I can, well, it would be a nuclear detonation if I did, but I could separate two neutrons in an atom, and that would give me two neutrons right there that were created from a single event.
True.
Oh, well, I mean, okay.
All right, so can use when photons are separated by masses. So
Again, this is dangerous because now we have like a computer in front of us. We
yeah,
can like Google wherever the heck we want.
I know. I really want to make more comments on it, but it's just
Okay.
it is interesting, and it's a great step for the Chinese space program because they were, well, they're not behind, but they don't have their own sort of rep like NASA, and I don't know what the Russian astronaut program is called.
Probably something unpronounceable to our
Yeah.
American tongues.
But whatever that is, we've haven't established programs, and we've done many experiments, and we've done many memorable things. I think this is really great that China is slowly getting into the game and developing their own thing, and doing their own experiments. You know, it's hard in any case to talk to a government or into a people and say, hey, give me a ton of money to do an experiment that won't really mean a whole lot. But it's part of a bigger process.
I think that's becoming increasingly hard with the instant gratification thing.
I'm waiting for research labs to go to GoFundMe.
It's gonna happen, and it'll be a sad day when it does.
Yep.
There's just not be able to find any funding anywhere else.
Yep.
Speaking of space, though, let's talk about the big thing, Space Corps.
Okay. It's not official yet.
It's not official, but it sounds so cool. Also, what the heck are we gonna do in space?
So,
what are we gonna defend in emptiness?
it's already demilitarized. You can't really start a war in space.
Well, hey, that has not stopped anybody from starting conflicts in demilitarized zones.
North Korea?
I'm just saying, you try to walk across the DMZ between North and South.
So, oh no, okay. You can't occupy it with a military force. How's that?
I mean, it'd be kind of hard to occupy anyway. So yeah.
Yeah. So
like we already have.
For our listeners who haven't read up on this or know about this,
right? Apparently,
the House, the U.S. House Arms Commission,
something like that.
Arms Committee, passed a bill that it will then go to the Senate committee for approval of creating a sixth branch of the military, or for the U.S. military. It would be under the U.S. Air Force, and it would be called the United States Space Corps.
Ooh, fancy.
So the idea is to create a branch of the military that is specifically designed to do operations, we'll say, because we don't say warfare. Warfare sounds bad. Operations, air quotes, in space.
You know, we have one of those, right? We have
NASA?
a thing that does operations in space. Yeah.
Yeah, true. But it's not. If you can't give a NASA astronaut a rifle, that looks bad.
I mean that. Okay, yes, it looks bad, but I'd argue that you very well could be. I mean, these guys are pulled from the U.S. Air Force and the Navy.
Correct.
It's not like they're not untrained when it comes to marksmanship.
No, but I'm sure there's something.
What would you do with a gun in space?
You can shoot it.
Yeah, and you're gonna go flying the other direction.
Yeah,
it's microgravity.
But the point is, you're killing the other person.
Easily, just put a hole in that their gas pressure. You know what? This might actually be a decent push towards latex spacesuits.
I was thinking spacesuits, but with what's it called?
Like armor, like body armor,
chainmail on the outside.
You know, we already have those, right? Yeah,
Spacesuits with chainmail?
micro objects in space can puncture a
Oh,
suit
that's right. Yep.
pretty darn easily. So like there's like a chainmail like thing that goes into making, a spacesuit, along with gas pressurization, which is my point, is that like if you ever try to move, if you ever been to like, have you been to the Space Center, the Johnson Space Center?
Ironically, no.
Okay then.
I say that because I'm a large nerd. I should have gone there by
Yes,
now.
you should have. But yeah, if you try to move your hand within an astronaut's glove, you'll find that it's very hard to do. And in fact, it can get very irritating on your fingers and toenails and nails in general, which leads to astronauts cutting their nails very, very short and gluing them down with super glue, just so they don't get agitated within their gloves. And then moving around within the space suit itself, even unpressurized, is already kind of hard. Once it is pressurized, you feel like
A balloon.
a marshmallow. Yeah,
Yep.
you just can't. The mobility is just not there. So the idea was raised. I want to say a couple years ago. I read about it in Popular Mechanics or Popular Science, one of those
Mhm.
magazines that has the flashy science news. I love them.
It's just in from science.
Basically, I mean, that's basically their entire business model. Anyway, the idea that like you could replace the amount of pressure that you're placing on the human body with the gas in a spacesuit with sort of these space age materials like latex or spandex or something like that. Something that, because really all you need is just a force on the body to keep it pressurized.
Yes.
And if you're essentially just like a human sausage, it would be the exact same result.
It's weird thinking about humans being marshmallows.
Why?
I don't know. It's just you have to protect it the same way you protect a marshmallow in space.
How would you protect a hot marshmallow in space?
You'd have to keep its pressure at the right level.
Not true. Right? Otherwise, it would just explode.
Yeah.
And freeze and explode. It would do both.
Yeah, I was already scared of like I don't swim well, so I would never really join the Navy or something like that. Where I like if stuff hits the fan, you have to swim, you have to safety. No, I wouldn't be really great at that.
Yeah, but you bailing out means you dying. Sorry.
Yeah, you bailing out in space means you die. There's no hope.
No.
All right.
Emergency spacesuits would be really interesting to think about for a minute. Like,
I'm okay with all my tax dollars going to this if we get OTST. That's what I want. ODST?
ODST? Like drop ships?
Like Halo
ODST. Drop ships? Fucking nerd, man. How would you have just a pod that survives re-entry?
Well, heat shields
onto a solid object.
I didn't say it'd be easy.
Like all of our pods right now just land in the ocean. That's for a reason.
Yeah, it has to deaccelerate so much. So
the Russians land in Siberia, which is why most Soyuz capsules have a rifle.
I had to fend off bears, right?
Yeah, bears.
Nope. You just came back from outer space. Congratulations. Now fight in the wilderness like Liam Neeson.
This is it was like the Gray, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you the one that was telling me about the language of the ISS?
No, but I do know what it is, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now all astronauts need to know Russian.
All US astronauts know Russian. All Russian astronauts know at least a little bit of English, right? I don't think they're required. Like we're required.
Well, someone's got to talk.
Yeah, someone's got to talk. Someone's got to talk to somebody. But because there isn't always like a word in English or a word in Russian for particular processes or parts that go into the ISS, it's like Spanglish. It's just a combination of Russian and English in just a very specific sense. And it's sort of spawned in the ISS.
Yep.
Yeah, which I think is kind of cool. Back in the day, there was a movement to try and formalize Spanglish, by the way. So
really?
Things like medical Spanglish dictionaries exist. where like instead of like a computer mouse would be referred to as a clicker, I think. Clicker. It's
Sounds
forgive
almost
my,
Australian. Give me the clicker.
yeah, right. But the idea is like, well, it's not literally a mouse, so using the Spanish word for mouse is kind of a little bit off.
Yeah.
So let's just use clicker. Clicker.
For those of you who might not have good audio quality, that is Joe clicking his mouse several times. So, what do you call the device that controls the volume and channels of a TV?
A remote.
A remote? Okay.
Yeah, the remote control.
Okay. So you call it a remote. You say, "Pass me the remote."
Where's the Chuck? Do you know that one? That's a Game Grumps reference. I'm not sure if you know it.
No.
The senior Avidan refers to the remote as the Chick Chuck because it was back in the day, like in the 70s, they Chick Chuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do love Dan's dad. Or the stories of Dan's dad.
The
I've
stories
never
of
met
Dan's
him.
dad, yeah. I don't think a single scrap of media exists about Dan's dad that's been released to the public, and I think it should stay that way. Obviously, like the
Well,
man
he doesn't
deserves
want. I don't think he
privacy.
wants to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just he's become this
Mean.
enigmatic figure where all we know about him is just these stories and
Dan?
yeah,
His voice.
yeah. It's not his voice; it's Dan's voice, obviously, but just
Mhm.
Dan's impersonation of his own father, which I'd imagine would be pretty accurate considering.
Yeah, because he's his son.
It
So
is amazing that like those two, they are professionals. They are professionals in what they do. Like they come off as very lax and like this is an informal event, them playing video games.
yes.
But Aaron, in a recent episode, made a comment that he was running out of voices to give the characters in some Paper Mario that they're playing. And his comment was, "Well, that's kind of a bad thing for a professional voice actor." And I realized that that's his job title. He's a voice actor.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
He's not really an internet celebrity full time.
Not always.
It's also weird to think that like Dan's real, like I guess, creative child or metaphorical child via
Brainchild?
creativity is yes, that's the word I was thinking. Brainchild is Ninja Sex Party, not
Yeah. He sort of just fell into the Game Grumps.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you listen to his music, it's very good. It's
very creative. Yes.
It's very easy to see his influences, like, and he does covers of the songs he likes from his era of music. So
recently, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah.
All right. So how about we take a quick break and then we'll get back with some other science topics.
Sciencey shit. Yes. Cool.
Okay. Yep. All right. Now I understand. Now I understand.
Oh, we're back to this.
It is instantaneous, but it is two photons from the same event.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do a fancy measurement of the clouds, one photon in the direction of our globe, 40 at north and at west, the second one would instantly collapse to the same state of matter. How far away it was, such a period. Because you have two people on both there, Charlie. First of time, and then one's teleport. That is, she sets the position on the exact cloud. She sends it down another cloud, Charlie. At the same time, Charlie prepares a pair of quantum entangled particles. He keeps one and sends. Yeah. They have to be joined and then separated. So they had to send that photon in space.
How do you capture a photon to be able to do that in the first place?
Mirrors. Perfect mirrors.
Really?
Yeah, a photon will go indefinitely until it's absorbed by something.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like other forms of energy. It's indefinite until like something hits it and that atom then absorbs it. So what they did was they took two photons and they threw one in space and they kept one here and then they set the orientation of the one here and then that set the one up in space.
Photon is just an electron in travel, right?
No,
No, they're very different.
no, very different.
Obviously, that's okay.
And a photon is the energy emitted by an electron.
Okay. Is this? I'm not a physicist. Let me preface that.
So the electrons are my hands.
Hmm.
The clap is the photon. The sound that you heard is the photon.
Okay.
So
But it's also a particle.
yes,
Okay.
they are permutations of each other.
Okay.
So an electron can be absorbed by an electron. No, a photon can be absorbed by an electron. That can change the electron, or the electron can be changed to emit a photon.
Hmm.
So,
Fascinating.
yes, it's weird.
So hold on. So once you do have these pairs of entangled particles, you change the spin on one because we can do that, right?
Yes.
Then the spin on the other will change and it's observable, and therefore you can transmit information via spin.
Yes.
How many possible spins are there for a photon?
4.
Okay.
I think it's spin horizontally and it's spin.
So, you do this with 10, I guess. Yeah, 10
You would
different
have to.
photons, right? And you have
Yeah, well,
10, you have 4 to the 10 different permutations there.
Yeah, think of it as an inkwell.
Okay.
So if you were to send a ton of these entangled particles, and heaven forbid you mix 2 of them up because then everything's ruined. But if you were to do this, you would then have however many particles you had in space to transmit information.
Mm-hmm.
Problem
Hold on. Information can be transferred in binary. So you want to just have 2 opposite spins that you're observing, have one as 1 and one as a 0, and then for each unit of time,
it is
which would
1
be like a nanometer or a nanosecond, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just change the spin based on that, and you have just a stream of information out to the wilderness, or out to this very specific thing. It's unencoded, it's uncompressed. It would take forever to get a message out, but you only need to entangle one particle.
You could do that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I don't see anything wrong with this. I think this is how we're going to communicate with our colony on Titan.
I agree with you. Like, if we have the ability to stabilize this, but think of it this way. We have a colony on Titan.
Okay, cool.
How do we get the one batch of entangled particles to Titan?
You send it with your original colonizers.
When you run out.
What?
When you run out.
What do you mean run out?
You run out of entangled particles. You gotta ship another shipment out there.
Well, are they used up by changing their spin?
You can't observe it again. It doesn't just go back into its superposition. Well, actually,
is that not how this works?
Let me think about that.
I thought they're just like entangled. That's it. You could continue changing it, and they would just keep changing to each other.
Yes, until the particle is used up.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I just don't like it. I get it.
He doesn't like it, folks.
Well, we're not recording right now, right?
Yeah, we are.
We are?
Mhm.
We're back.
Yeah,
I know
man.
we were back.
We've been back since you started talking.
Okay. Um, I just don't like it because it only really makes sense for interstellar travel, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Anything within the solar system, sure, it takes, well, I think for Voyager, it took like an hour or two
Hmm.
for a message to get out there.
Well, yeah, think about all of the things we encounter, right, that need some more immediacy than just an hour from now. Like
Like what?
curiosity. Curiosity has, in order for the feedback to be sent to Earth, and then for an operator on Earth to say, okay, do this thing, and for that command to get all the way back to Curiosity, that is in one revolution 16 minutes.
Yes.
This is annoying me, so I'm going to turn it off. um,
Breaking the meta.
I'm breaking them. Oh my god, that is 16 minutes.
Yes.
So can you imagine if Curiosity says, I'm recording, here's my recording what's in front of me, and some operator says, that's a cliff, stop. That was 8 minutes ago. Curiosity could have already gone over that cliff. So already we're employing things like machine learning to teach Curiosity how to respond to rocky terrain, how to respond to being turned over, how to respond to what a good rock sample looks like.
You're right. You're right. And but humanity's been dealing with this for hundreds and hundreds of years. When
Yeah.
we discovered the new world, in our quotes, we had viceroys who were representatives of the authority of the land who made decisions based on what they want, and then they would relay the information back. So my point is, if why not just have an authority on Mars that makes decisions if anything that needs to be done within 8 minutes?
Well, that would require, a human actor on Mars, which would be lovely. Can we get that?
So I think we're working towards that. I think it's unavoidable now.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's not NASA, then it's, the private space industry.
Thank you, Elon. I still love his quote where he's like, I'd love to die on Mars, just not die on impact.
Oh, no, Elon.
Please sponsor us. Please.
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 I'll ignore that article I read about you and your factories.
we'll expunge it from the record.
Expunge it from the etc. the podcast record, which, of course, is so viewed and so funded already.
Yes.
With such great
so.
exposure.
So
yeah, I think this is not I think we're going in circles by now. I think we're going in circles. You don't like it because reasons. I like it because other reasons.
Yes. Well, I like it the same way.
That's a good step forward.
Yes. For politically, socially, and scientifically.
Yes.
So, how about that machine learning?
How about that machine learning?
That segue, though.
That's such good segues. That's what we're known for, right?
Really?
No, we're not known.
Segues that are cliffs?
Pat. just complete non sequitur. That's a segue. That's how it works, don't you know?
Or I could make a really bad line. It's like, man, if only I had something that could machine learn and take these complex variables
and do something with them. I don't know, man. Actually,
tell me about my Lord and Savior, Google.
Google.
Or Alphabet. Is it Alphabet technically?
No, this is Google. This is actual Google.
Okay.
Google actually has a couple of different AI labs that run around. Have you seen? Is it Neurodoodle or Doodle something? They'll turn your doodles into works of art really, really quick.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's from them. That's from a generative adversarial network. Anyway, so the definition of we've actually done an episode on the singularity.
Yeah.
and all the different interpretations of the singularity. So longtime listeners, as long as you can have listened, I think we're on episode 11.
Double digits.
Hey man, we're getting there. Longtime listeners will know that a singularity is when an artificial intelligence gets good enough to replicate a better artificial intelligence, and then we just have this recursive loop to get to super hyper intelligent overlords where there's no better AI ever.
Thanks to the good proving of, was it von Neumann?
I think it was Neumann, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now they have this thing called AutoML, and AutoML is an artificial intelligence system that makes better AI. Right now, it's a neural network for, I think, mapping data or predicting data.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Eventually, we'll
like,
just get rid of stock traders altogether and just go to machine learned.
okay, that's like a classic example of things where machine learning straight up doesn't work. There's like, you'd think it's perfect. There's so many variables that no human actor would able to know what to do, right? There's no there's decades of history that you can pull from, and it's very well documented. But here's the issue. Not everything that happens in the stock market makes sense or follows historical patterns. Like, people will claim, yeah, no, I've just looked at historical patterns, and that's why I invested in Cliff
Oil.
Bars. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it usually doesn't work. It usually, like, you can try and we'll make these really general, maybe right assumptions, or it'll make very specific, usually not right assumptions. And there's just too much going on. People don't react in the same way every time. And we're just unpredictable beings.
And there are completely irrelevant things to the stock market that change it, like whether or not a CEO is convicted of a crime or has a bad break, things like that.
No, there are other instances which, like, machine learning really can predict the outcome of things that you would think, no, there's no way, no machine could be able to do that. And that, like, even whether or not a person will be convicted of a crime.
Oh, yes.
We talked about this off.
That's what I say, off air.
Fair. Oh yeah, because what are we? Are we a podcast? A radio show? We're a podcast. It's in the name, except for a podcast.
We're a podcast.
So does that mean we're on air right now?
Yeah, are we having one? We're on recording. We're not on air because it's not live.
Well, I can't say on camera because we're not always on camera.
Recording. You are always recording.
Okay.
On record. We have not mentioned. We have not talked about it on record.
On record. There we go. We've not talked about it on record, but yeah, it went through the, what's the thing where they record every word that's said in court?
Yeah.
I don't know the
stenographer.
name of that. Yeah, they went through the stenography of each court case and came up with a prediction on whether or not that person would be convicted, guilty or innocent, one or two. And I think somewhere around 70-something% of the time they were right, which for anything machine learning related, like 75% of the time, it's like, oh, well, you were wrong a quarter of the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that means that 3 times out of 4, they were right.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Right, depending on what the jury said, which the jury isn't always right.
They accurately predicted what the jury would come up with.
Well, many machine learning technologies have gone beyond what we understand. So I know, I forget which team it is, but there's some biologists who put their data from observing cells and how they act with certain proteins and
protein folding. Yeah, that's another, yeah.
Where they got an equation that describes exactly, or not exactly, pretty well how a cell would operate. Like when this protein goes up, this protein will go down, or this will happen, or this will happen. And they have the equations for it, but they don't understand what the equations mean. They don't know
I'd be
why.
hard-pressed to be. There we go.
They
I
don't know the
believe
why.
they don't understand how the machine got to that, or how you would get to that, like as a researcher. But generating data where like you don't know what it means just means that you just made something.
Yeah, no.
It's
So
useless.
it created an accurate equation. How the equation works, and its macroscopic definition is still unresolved because so we know this happens when this protein goes up. Every single time we see a cell that has this level of proteins, we know this is going to happen. But why does that happen? What is the purpose of the cell reacting that way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
But in that case, it doesn't matter, right? The machine doesn't care why it happens. It just knows that it will happen.
Yeah. The machine cares whether or not it's right, or whether or not it's met its success, its version or definition of success more, and it has. I think another classic example is the cumulative neural network, which we use for image identification. Yeah, that's how you can like write on envelopes and ship it. By the way, because you can identify it with just a picture, where it's on the paper with just a picture. Yeah, the way that works is you apply a shit ton of filters, right, to an image. Like what levels of lightness or darkness, what colors, and what places mean that this is an object, right? And this is an automated process with with a known equation and a known function. So you know how it got to its final product, but you don't always know like what its final product will be, like what filters fit best, right?
Yes.
And depending on the data set, those filters are going to change. So you never truly have it like as a human, unless you want to sit there and do every process that a computer would do yourself, which would take forever. You never really know what filters are going to be used to identify the object that you're identifying.
No, but that's why we do machine learning, because it's just such a high level of following of variables that the human brain can't really do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can do, just
not well,
not quickly.
Well, we can actually go to how that related to our life today. So Chipotle, the Chipotle that Joe and I frequent, always rounds up. Rounds up or rounds down? I'm not sure.
It rounds down. It gives you the benefit of the doubt every single time.
So it used to round down the costs that you would encumber from eating there to the nearest 5 cents.
I think it was the nearest quarter, so they could pay you in quarters.
Okay.
Like you give you your change in quarters.
So that was how it used to work. And then they got a machine that would divvy out, like one of those things that has huge rolls of all the coins, and then it goes and it slides into a pan. They got one of those, and now they're giving exact change, which I don't like personally. Because
it does, however, mean millions of dollars saved on the part of Chipotle.
Yes, but at the same time, I used to count them in my grouping of people who were out to kill the penny.
Dude, the penny needs to die.
No, the penny and nickel, both.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow inflation rates, they have fallen below the value of
the hay penny.
Yeah, the hay penny.
When we got rid of the hay penny, the hay penny had more buying worth than both of those coins put together.
Late 18th century, you could buy a loaf of bread for somewhere between a 16th to an 8th of a penny.
Yes.
Now, the way you made change for that is that you cut up the penny.
Yep.
Nowadays, that there is a federal crime because you're defacing government property.
Yep. Doesn't that make you a little sad?
Yeah, it's like this is a great American tradition of busting up pennies into slivers.
Shout out to all those middle schoolers who think they're really badass for writing BR on a $1 bill.
I mean, in a way, they are. They're committing
A felony.
A felony. They're destroying government property,
Yep.
or at least vandalizing it, which I'll admit is it's not
Good.
cool. It's
Okay.
not even remotely cool, but it's like, all right, well, that's slightly more cool than just writing boner.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Slightly.
For any younger listeners, don't get any ideas. We're
Please
watching
don't.
you.
I don't want you to blame the fact that you got charged with a felony by the Secret Service.
Is downloading music a felony yet? Like illegally downloading music a
It's
felony?
definitely frowned upon.
I can never understand the current laws on it. I know that seeding, like
Cheating's
giving
illegal.
seeding is illegal under DMCA. If you don't have permission to share something, you can't. But it doesn't apply to physical media. So if you have like a flash drive full of music, you can give it to your friend who can rip it and give it back. He can rip it and give it back, or he can give it to his friend who rips it and gives it back, et cetera, forever. But not for torrents.
Yes.
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 Doesn't make sense.
I don't know. Piracy laws are weird, man. I mean, they're not weird. They make sense. They're trying to protect, the humble artist who's just trying to sell their music. That makes sense. It's intellectual property. Of course, you'd want to save that.
But there are lines that I feel as though we've crossed in the overly conservative section.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they've gone almost overboard, if not completely overboard, on copyright laws.
I believe that. And it's always with the way that internet, getting your music from the internet works nowadays. The most amount of money generated per purchase of a song goes to the distributor and not the artists themselves.
Yes.
Like when it comes to iTunes, you make pennies on the dollar. When it comes to Spotify, you make yet less as an artist. The real profit when it comes to being a musician is in selling tickets to a concert and merchandise, specifically merchandise.
Merchandise is a big, not only for like artists, but also for like personalities and things like that. I feel as though it's huge for like Rooster Teeth and other companies similar.
So I think who we're trying to actually, like, this should be the question when we come up with copyright laws, like, who are we actually trying to protect? What does the artist actually benefit more from having their music more widely distributed, from having more fans coming to the concerts than they do from being hurt by not selling a record, right? Mm-hmm. It's not a record anymore. It's a file.
It's a file on someone's thumb drive that's in the bottom of their backpack.
Yeah. And should we really be passing laws to protect corporations instead of individuals? Yes. Like these laws are written to help iTunes.
Well, the lobbyists would say yes.
No, the lobbyists would say no, we're protecting the artist, because that's what lobbyists do.
Welcome to the government.
Welcome to the government. I don't know.
Are you really bummed out now because of the government?
I'm just so frustrated. I'm just so frustrated with just everything related to the politics at the moment. And there's an opportunity for me very very soon to visit a group of people I hope to be eventually close to, who do not share my sense of politics. So I have to I have to get in the practice of policing what I say and when I say those things.
You'll get brainwashed soon enough.
Wait, what do you mean brainwashed?
I mean, after dealing with certain conversations with individuals for so long, you get conditioned where it's natural for you to answer a certain way without using certain terminology.
One would argue that seems a little two-faced.
Isn't that what socialization is? Putting on a face that is either receptive or not to other people?
I suppose you could argue that. Yeah, sure.
I think that if that's the case, then I've been lying every time I go into an interview with a suit on. It's
All
like
right. Yeah.
I don't wear this.
Sir, as you can clearly tell from the excellent fit of my 4-year-old blazer, I
That
wear it very
I'm
often.
destined for this job.
Oh yeah.
So I find it fascinating that people are finding new ways to incorporate machine learning in day-to-day activities. Like I think the go-to
Yeah.
example is cars and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh my God. I literally I was looking around for easy experiments, right? Easy experiments to do with machine learning just to get into it. And I literally I found a video on how you can program a self-driving car with 9 lines of code.
yeah,
That's how
that's
far we've
mind-boggling.
gotten with just tools. It okay, granted, it requires like 72 hours of driving experience. Um, but that's just data collection. That's the
True.
easy part. The hard part is done. It's
Yeah,
already
the implementation part. Yeah,
out.
it's mind-boggling how easy some things, and they're expanding into other things. Like I think the next big industry shakeup will be coffee vending machines.
Coffee vending machines.
Because I'm waiting for a company to build a networked coffee vending machine where you have like a profile or like a card or something like that, and it scans it, and then it slowly aligns to make the same cup of coffee that you want every time with the same temperature. Like it's like, oh, is that too hot, too cold? Is that too sweet, not too sweet? And then slowly nails it down until you get to a precise level.
Now we get into an ergonomic problem though. How much information, and this is something that people who do surveys have been asking themselves for generations. Um, how much information can you get out of a single interaction where your data is not so small that it's insignificant, and you're asking them the amount of data that you're trying to extract from them isn't so large that their interaction or is inconvenient to the user, right? Because that end user is very likely to just like not, how many times have you said skip ad when you've given the when given the survey thing on YouTube?
Always. Wait, no. Wait, you're saying you're
Like
given the option to
sometimes they
take a
have
survey to
surveys.
skip the ad? Yeah.
Yeah, you take a survey. I'm pretty frequently like, it's 5 seconds. I can wait, because
I'm the
I don't
exact
really have an
opposite.
opinion on what car do you drive. I don't drive, you know.
Yeah, but I always answer it because I always think it's like for me, skipping an ad uh deploys that individual of the income of the video I'm watching. Whereas I feel that with the survey they get the full benefit.
Is that true? If you, I don't know YouTube's algorithm at all. If you watch an ad all the way through, does the content creator get more information or more money?
Yeah. I
With it?
thought that was one addition to it where it's like the percentage of the ad that you get through changes how much money the individual gets.
If that's true, that's amazing.
Amazing good or amazing bad?
Oh, amazing good. I mean, bad in the fact that like a whole bunch of content creators are out some cash because their fan base just doesn't care about that enough.
Yeah, well, the younger you get, the more likely you are to skip an ad.
Oh, true. So everyone who's vying for younger audiences. You know what ad I keep watching though? I've seen already like 5 times. I keep watching it. It's
Which one?
the ad for the Atomic Blonde.
Oh, that one. Yeah, the James Bond-esque movie. How how is that kind of going, if that makes sense? How, like, is that getting good reviews and things like that?
What do you mean?
Um,
How is like the production of the thing going?
yeah, because it seems to be like a super James Bond character, like James Bond like James Bond mixed with Jason Bourne.
That seems to be the vibe that I'm getting from the advertisements, but I don't know. She just looks like a badass who, you know, kicks butt, takes names.
Yeah, but like is like deep cover U.S. or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
something like
interesting.
that. I like the concept. I like Charlize Theron's character. I like James McAvoy's character too. I like that sort
Yeah,
of. What was it? Don't shoot. I've got your shoe.
yeah. Don't you have got your shoe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting actor.
Is he?
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not like trying to question that. I'm just like, why do
his
you think
his his roles are diverse. Remember, he played Split, the Split personality
Oh
horror
yeah, he did do
movie,
Split. I didn't like the
and
concept behind Split. How was it?
I didn't watch it,
Okay.
but like it was an interesting shift from being Doctor X and X Men to this character in Split to this side character in Atomic Blonde.
It is. I'll grant him that he has a very large pool of talent. Not large pool of talent. He has a lot to. No, that's not the words I'm looking for either. He's varied. He's not typecast.
Yes, unlike many actors nowadays.
Yeah, which is real unfortunate. I know, like, oh god, Jim Carrey tried to do a couple of serious movies, and they all kind of flopped. And I know exactly why, because I watched one of them expecting to laugh and didn't. It's like, oh, well,
It's like, oh, this, well, but like that's part of it. Like at a certain point, you get so well known for your one or few roles. But that's been going on for 100 years or so. John Wayne never did a comedy role ever that
didn't
I know of.
John Wayne die of cancer from the radiation he received out in Utah?
No idea.
Yeah, the
There's a
Conqueror.
plane named after him.
Is there really a plane named after John Wayne?
Yep.
That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah. Okay. Lesson in history. There was a movie about Genghis Khan called The Conqueror. It starred John Wayne as Genghis Khan.
Racially accurate.
Totally, 100%. And instead of being shot in Mongolia, it was shot in the deserts of Utah. So obviously, we're very concerned with historical accuracy. It's unfortunate because it was shot, I believe, in 50s or 60s. And Utah, was it Utah? No, it was Nevada. I apologize.
Yeah.
It was Nevada. Nevada was used as a nuclear bomb testing ground for a while, you know? And so the radiation still was in the sands and everybody was breathing it, all the dust was getting in their eyes, it was getting all over the place. Pretty much the entire cast and crew got cancer within the next 20 years.
Wow.
Of some form, because they were incredibly irradiated.
Yep. I would do it too.
Yeah.
So learn your lessons.
For, John Wayne's death.
Learn your lessons. Don't hang out in nuclear fallout shelter areas. It's not a good idea.
Don't go out into the desert. Never, ever.
Don't crawl out through the fallout.
Crawling through the fallout,
Baby. That's a lawsuit right there. Boom. We just got hit with it.
Is it? Is
And the
that?
song that was used in that was made in like 1950.
You know what? Don't test me. I believe it. So from what I'm finding on the internet, since 2014, yes, if you skip an ad, the person on the other side makes no monies. But and I think it's changed since 2014, considering it's 2017.
What? YouTube never changes its profit earning methods for creators. Sarcasm.
Ever.
Sarcasm.
Dude, didn't hold on, didn't YouTube change their ad revenue recently? Yeah, I remember this. Some companies were rather pissed about their ads being attached to YouTube videos that they would consider unflattering, like footage from Fallujah being precluded by a Samsung commercial,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting like some negative associations or concerns over negative associations. So a bunch of people pulled out of Alphabet's ad revenue pool and they changed the algorithm so that I guess content would match the ad or vice versa. And it ended up screwing a bunch of content creators because they just straight up couldn't make money that way anymore. So yeah,
And a lot of people got angry.
and a lot of people got angry. A lot of people are like, "This is bullshit. I want, to not
I want to not have to.
like this is people's livelihoods we're talking about." And I'm surprised that we haven't seen a rebirth of Patreon. Like I know a couple of content creators who still use Patreon as their primary source of income, just because of the content that they create.
It's mostly educational.
Yeah, it's almost all
Content creators,
educational.
from my understanding.
I believe your view pool is a little bit smaller. I believe the amount of information you can spread over a number of minutes, because now we pay by minute.
It's true.
Watched is a lot smaller because who's going to sit around and watch an educational video that's an hour long if it's not a documentary?
Yes.
Documentaries take a long time to produce, a lot of money to produce. So if you're a small time YouTuber and you you produce a 2-minute
Video.
YouTube video about
The cats licking each other.
and the science behind that, you're probably not gonna get as many views.
Yep.
You're probably not gonna get as much money as you could from a 5-minute video about cats licking each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of ruining the idea of quality and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, there are other avenues for content that people can take, and I know a lot of the people who were Let's Players in another life have gone the streaming route.
true.
Ray Narvaez, most of the Overwatch guys, Overwatch pros.
Even within Rooster Teeth, I think that branch Game Attack is doing heavy streaming because it's easier to make, it's less editing, and you get more money.
Yeah. It's less effort and a better payoff. Just plain simple. It's not a terrible way to go but here's the thing: you have to already have a following to be able to stream well and do that well, or you just need to keep at it until you do have a following.
And some people feel disingenuous.
I don't think
Because
it's-
they're just pandering. They're trying to entertain people by just entertaining the masses by adding a bunch of effects and things like that. I find it sad.
I don't think it's any more disingenuous than a YouTube video is. You're gonna pander to your audience no matter what. So
Fair.
yeah.
All right. Well, would you like to take us out? I think we're almost at an hour.
We are almost at our hour, and so we'll have to save whatever subject pops up next for next time. So until then, this has been Etc. the podcast. I'm Joe.
And I'm Pat.
And we'll see you later.
Wait. You're forgetting our suggestions.
Our suggestions.
That's what I was thinking. We were talking about our suggestions.
Oh, okay. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I'll go with. Oh, I had one. I actually want to check the name because I watched it a while ago.
Right, then I shall go first in quotation marks. I am just at the end of Joseph Heller's Catch-22, and I gotta say it's been quite the ride. I love the humor in the beginning. I love how the story has progressed. I love how sad it's making me, and I love how disillusioned I feel by the end of it, even though I myself have not experienced a single thing. So I would highly recommend it. It is 465 pages, at least if you have my copy. So it's quite the read. It'll take you a while. But you'll have fun with it.
I would go from my recommendation as the documentary 5 Came Back, which is on Netflix. It's about 5 directors who documented World War II and how each one had their own different telling of the story and how to reveal what was going on to the public. It's very interesting because it shows a lot of famous footage that everyone's seen. Like if you've seen any documentary about World War II, you've seen elements of these guys kind of being mashed up. So it's very interesting and very educational.
That sounds amazing. Okay.
All right.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Until next time, this has been Etc. the Podcast. I'm Joe.
And I'm Pat.
And we'll see you later.